Good evening, dear colleagues. As always, Sunday is the day for the ForexTimes project, and as always, I, Strelkov, am with you. Today, we will look at the probable movements of trading instruments for the upcoming trading week, specifically the euro against the US dollar, gold, and the SP 500 index. Let's get started. As always, I invite you to join the community ForexTimes. As part of the community, you will find forecasts based on the Chicago Commodity Exchange and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission for 9 trading instruments. In addition, you will have access to trading signals, consultations at any time of the day and night, and the ability to not miss any good entry opportunities into the market. Moving on to the euro-dollar currency pair. First, we should consider the reports of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, specifically the increase in buyers by 79%. This is a significant indicator. The number of buyers and sellers, which was equal, now shows a visible increase in the number of buyers. Secondly, recall last week when I spoke about the accumulation ranges of options contracts. Specifically, I noted that if we first come to call option contracts, we'd consider sales. If we reach put option contracts, we'd contemplate purchases. Currently, we're likely moving towards the accumulation of put option contracts. From the reports of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission that show an increase in buyers and the fact that we're approaching very strong support ranges, it seems wise to exclusively consider purchases for the upcoming trading week. The target level region is approximately 935,109, around 40.45. However, it would be excellent if on Monday, Tuesday, and the first half of Wednesday, the market would further decrease to the range of put option contract accumulation. In such a case, a pattern for entry into the market would form, and one could buy at a better cost, yielding a better stop loss to take profit ratio. In principle, the stop loss is about 100 to 120 points. Why so small? Because globally it appears a triangle, ABCDE, is likely forming in the euro trend. We're discussing the potential ascension during wave D, followed by a probable correctional decline, wave E, and the continuation of the upward trend. So, dear colleagues, I would avoid trading this particular instrument as there are far more interesting trading instruments than the euro dollar. However, if during Monday, Tuesday, and the first half of Wednesday, this trading instrument decreases, consider purchases. Moving on to gold, this trading instrument is much more interesting. At the moment, we notice a correctional decline, after which we are likely to see growth and a continuation of decline. The question arises whether this decline will continue or not. So let's discuss this point. I'll immediately note that for the upcoming trading week, based on what happened in the Chicago Commodity Exchange and the futures market, there was a 13% increase in buyers and a 9% increase in capitalization to $451 million, $94 million. Therefore, for the upcoming trading week, we consider purchases. However, let's discuss how we'll do this. First, it would be beautiful if the trading instrument gave one more wave down. Why? To create a divergence between the MACD oscillator and the market. For example, the market is falling, forming lows, but the oscillator's minimums are rising, also forming a divergence. Here, a pattern, a pin bar is formed, and we can consider purchases. This is entry option number 1. Entry option number 2 is when an NBA pattern is formed, in which case we can wait for impulsive movement followed by a correction and enter the market with deferred orders or with a buy stop here. Let's look at the structure of our decline. It would all be fine, and we could expect a correction followed by a decline. However, if this wave is corrective, there is a chance the correction has already ended and the market will skyrocket, either a correction with a decline or a skyrocket. In any case, we expect growth. The range of 2405 to 407 is very appealing as a target range for this trading instrument for the upcoming trading week. Looking closer, we see that the decline of the trading instrument started with a zigzag, not an impulsive movement. However, if you want this to be an impulse, we need the formation of the zigzag to be the formation of the initial diagonal triangle. This is a 5-wave structure needed for a deep correction, then a downward movement, and only then a reversal upwards instead of immediate upward reversal. But as you know, these are financial markets, so we need to stretch it pretty to get that initial diagonal triangle. With such a minute correction, wave O and wave D, it's somewhat unlikely but feasible. Various colleagues certainly believe it is madness. With such a small correction, such a miniature one, it rarely occurs. Then what we see here would be wave 3, with wave 4 now forming, and then wave 5 and already growth into the correction of wave B, and then a reversal down. Alternatively, we can indeed argue that this zigzag is wave A, which strongly resembles a triangle with wave B. Currently, we're seeing wave C, and we're beginning to pivot towards growth, specifically global growth for this particular trading instrument. Dear colleagues, in either case, whether it's scenario A or scenario B, we're predicting growth. And let me remind you, I'm quite fond of the range 25,407. The S&P 500 index is somewhat similar to what, let's say, I was just mentioning about gold. Only in this case, with the S&P 500 index, a zigzag is clearly forming. You see a 3-wave zigzag structure, which suggests 2 scenarios. Either we've already initiated growth, or we will see another zigzag downwards, followed by an upward takeoff. This is because we would have a WX wave and we would be moving upwards. Alternatively, dear colleagues, we may still see the formation of an initial diagonal triangle that becomes a wave and we will start to fall. I don't particularly like this version. I'll explain why. I am quite fond of the scenario where growth has already begun, or where we will still see another zigzag and then we will see growth. Why? Well, let's take a look at the options contracts, both monthly and weekly, and particularly at the 5,500 mark. Please observe, dear colleagues, the accumulation of options contracts on the downside amounts to tens of billions of dollars. And on the upside, almost all options contracts are around the same level, namely 5,500. These are monthly options contracts. Professionals believe that the price will rise to the 5,500 level, something will happen, and it will be possible to start selling. But the most interesting thing is that if we look at the weekly options contracts, we will see exactly the same scenario. Please have a look at the enormous accumulation of put options contracts here, more than $150 million worth. If we look at the accumulation of call options contracts, we will see that the level of most call options is primarily around the same level, again 5,500. Therefore, at a global level for investors and US as speculators, a very important moment is currently the possibility to test the price level of 5,500. After this, we get a pattern for entering the market, we get some sort of confirmation, and we start to sell. This is simply because professionals on the Chicago Commodity Exchange, both in the case of the weekly and the monthly options contracts, expect to see a decline, and a fairly substantial one at that. You just have to look. If you decide that you want me to calculate this, I'll do it at some point, but believe me, it's not $150 in your pocket. It's more than $150 million worth of options contracts. Therefore, from an investment perspective, I'm considering this trade instrument strictly for sale. Thank you, dear colleagues, for listening to me to the end. Once again, I invite you to join the community of ForexTimes. You won't regret it. I can provide consultations in both personal messages and in comments on posts in the community that are called IMHO. You write comments to these posts. I'll always respond to them. You can write to me 24/7. I will always reply. Join us. We have a lot of interesting forecasts, trading signals, and consultations. Have a great evening and goodbye to everyone.